Hello, everyone, and welcome to the edition of Taking Over. I am, of course, OLED Ed Fries, joined, as always, by the natural astridpizarro. And we're here talking about Australian professional wrestling, so we figured we'd bring in our favorite Australian professional wrestling commentator. It is indeed the publisher and the one-man show of Pario magazine himself. JB, thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
So for those of the people here that haven't seen your work over at Pario Magazine and all the fun stuff that you've got going over there, tell us a little bit about Pario Magazine, how it started, what you guys do, and everything that you've got going on over on the Pario Magazine YouTube channel.
So we basically focus on the world of creativity, whether it's wrestling, music, film, theater, bit of everything. And then, yeah, I do feature articles, a print magazine, and then on YouTube, all of the video interviews and movie review podcasts and Dynamite watch-alongs with Peggy when she's available, which is very fun.
It is indeed. We do. It is the only way I watch AEW lately is when I watch it with Peggy and Jamie, because I don't even watch AEW. I just watch them watching AEW.
That's like the worst possible way to watch AEW, I think, because it's
no.
You're not getting any of the insight of what's actually happening.
That's fine. I honestly don't want it anyway. So I'm just there to support my wonderful friends who are doing fantastic stuff. I have queued up to watch after the show ends, because I didn't get a chance to watch this afternoon, the Masters of the Universe review that you have up there with somebody else, because I saw that a couple weeks ago on opening night and thoroughly enjoyed that movie. I thought it was very, very good. Don't get Ed started. Take the compliment. Well, Bobby's shooting. But you know what? The World Cup is going on. Bobby's excited. So we'll let Bobby be excited for the World Cup. I am, however, living in Boston, and the Boston fan base has taken a liking to the Scottish people. The Scottish fans here have made their impression on the New England fan base, and we approve.
Well,
which isn't a huge
Irish.
I was going to say they're basically the knockoff Irish, so yes, it's not huge difference that they're over here. But yes, no, they all weekend they have been going viral with just everybody in Boston being like, "We love the Scottish fans. Can we keep them?" Oh. Yes,
At least you don't have to deal with the rowdy Australians that Vancouver had last week.
I mean, it is what it is. Like, I don't have to deal with it at all, because they're all either in the city of Boston or then in Foxborough where the games are being played. And neither of those is thankfully anywhere near me. So, yay. And again, I just sit in my house anyway. So, but anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about professional wrestling. So, give us a little bit, if you have anything, Jamie, on WSW, World Series Wrestling. Do you know much about this company in and of itself?
So they started a long time ago and then went away for a bit. So in that first sort of batch, they had people like Brian Danielson, Christopher Daniels on the tours. And then they kind of went in on hiatus, and they came back probably close to 10 years ago now, and started bringing in people like the Briscoes, Austin Aries, and that sort of ilk of Ring of Honor days. And now it's a lot of like TNA and some AEW stars, and then like independent wrestlers and then they mix them in with Australians on like a tour that spans 4 or 5 days of Australia. And in October, they're also including New Zealand.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was looking up the events that are coming up. So the tour that we're talking about the first leg of a 4-show tour that included Hindmar, South Australia, Kensington, Victoria, Australia, and Penrith, New South Wales, Australia. Yep. I probably butchered the names of those, but I tried.
It's basically Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney.
There we go. It would be nice if they put those on the thing as opposed to...
I know, they put the very specific like suburbs within the larger cities for some reason.
So then, yes, as you said, in October they'll be back. The end of October, beginning of November, the last 3 days of October, the first 2 days of November for Mega Mania. That's going to be a 5-show one where they're going to start in Auckland, New Zealand. They're going to go to Queensland, Australia, go back to Adelaide, and then Sydney and Melbourne again, because they're back in Kensington, Victoria, and New South Wales. So hitting all the stops, but adding in Auckland, New Zealand, so that the Kiwis, because apparently that's who the Kiwis are, correct?
That is correct.
Terminology, correct? We have Aussies for the Australians, and then Kiwis are the New Zealand people.
Yep.
There we go. So this one took place in Adelaide. It is the first show of the tour. And it had some names on it. Like, they brought in the Skyscrapers from MLW, both Bishop Dyer and Donovan Dijak. From Progress Wrestling, they brought in Man Like DeReiss. From TNA Wrestling, they brought in Ash by Elegance. From MLW now, the current reigning world champion of MLW, Killer Kross, is on this show. Independent names like Shotzi Blackheart. TNA names like the Nemeths. Priscilla Kelly, Myla Grace, who was a TNA name at the time that she did the show, is now back and seen as she's been granted her release. And then, of course, the Good Brothers, who pop up wherever people will pay the money to show up, as long as Doc Gallows doesn't have to take a bump. So, you know.
Yeah, he doesn't take many bumps, ever, especially in this show.
He doesn't take bumps.
Definitely no.
Period.
No. Mm-hmm. That's
Work
true.
smarter, not harder.
He has figured out the whole work smarter, not harder philosophy. Whereas on the independent scene, most people are doing it the opposite way. He's like, no. I'll work as many shows as I can, as long as I don't have to actually fall down.
Yeah.
I get that.
And then of course, there are the Australians on this show. We have the Tuckman, we have Matt Hayter, and Parea, which we will talk all about them as we go, because ironically, in doing my research of this show and pulling graphics and everything else, every time I tried to pull a graphic for most of the Australians, I got a wonderful photo from a magazine cover from this band.
Yep.
Because every time I tried to pull one of their pictures, that's what I found.
Yeah. SEO. Out the wazoo.
Yes. And we're going to get your opinions on at least two of them that I know you've interviewed, and I don't know if you've interviewed the Parea yet, but we'll talk about them as we go, because they're the one I didn't search, so I don't know if that happened. Overall, what were your thoughts on the show, Jamie?
I really enjoyed the show. So I watched all 4 of the shows live when they were on. For me, this is the best one of the tour. The final show is also really fun, but it's more of a sort of fun party atmosphere. This one's like a more serious pay-per-view feeling show.
Astrid, what was your thoughts on the first time we're getting to watch the Australian crowd?
I like the Australian crowd a lot. I feel like they're very active. I particularly like them in the recent Tuckman match, because I feel like they were the most active. But I also have some thoughts about that match, so I'll drink a little bit haterade later on when that happens. But I love how active they are, because even when Killer Kross and Kross and Bishop happens, it's another part that they're really active, and that's towards the end of the show. So it really speaks to how well paced the show was. That from the beginning they're really fired up into the end of the show. So overall, I like how fun the crowd was.
Yeah, I had a good time with these shows. I watched bits and pieces of these shows live because they aired for me very early in the morning. And so I would roll over, get the alert, and I would throw it on. And until I fell back to sleep, I would go ahead and listen and watch some of these shows. Here's the thing about, and again, this is the difference between what we normally cover here with the North American independents, where we're covering them running a single show, here, there, and everywhere, every couple weeks, every couple months, versus having a tour show like this show with WSW, whereas you get a lot of talent and then you kind of mix and match the talent as best you can to go ahead and run as many different matches as you can without trying to run the same match over and over again. I would have liked less And I understand you have to get the name talent to sell the tickets, but at the same time, I would have loved to have been introduced to more Australian-based professional wrestlers as opposed to just seeing the people I know from the North American indie scene and, you know, signed wrestlers from WWE going ahead and running shows on these things. Like, there's only 3 of the 6 matches that have anybody from the Australian scene in it whatsoever. There's a tag match that opens the show. There's the Tuckman versus men like DeReiss, and then there's Matt Hayter in the 4-way for the Australian title. And like I said, I just would have.
There's the old guard as well. The old guard versus the Nemeths.
I'm sorry. Yes, I forgot about that. The old guard as well. All right, so 4 of the 8 matches. I apologize. So yes, 4 of the 8 matches. So halfway. Okay.
But yeah, this tour was definitely probably the weaker side of incorporating the Aussies. Normally they incorporate a few more, but this one was a little bit lower than usual.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that will happen when we get back to 5 legs in October, and where we're getting names of people who are, you know, as we already know, Buddy Matthews, who appears on this show, has already said he will be cleared. He will be on the show during the October leg. So we're going to be getting a name like that, who is an Australian for this crowd, who is somebody that they're going to be excited to see and go ahead and have him probably main eventing at least 1 or if not 2 of these shows on that leg of the tour, I would imagine. Let's start here with our opening match, the tag team title match, where the Parea with Eli Theseus and King Kreas taking on the Good Brothers of Doc Gallows and Karl Anderson. What else can you say about Machine Gun Karl Anderson and Doc Gallows that we haven't said the 4 other times that we've unfortunately had to talk about them? Not because I don't like talking about Karl Anderson. He's great. But why is every time I have to talk about him, I have to talk about Doc Gallows too? Like, I just wish he'd work singles matches every now and then. Just wish he would.
Yeah, that's never happening on a tour like this when they can just kind of coast on the crowd reactions and the name value.
Yeah.
And I think what probably hurt this match the most is King Kreas. It turns out he got injured the day before this show. He tore his hamstring. So if you watching this show in hindsight, I was like, that's why he doesn't really do a lot. You can kind of see him limping a little bit on the entranceway. So I think that maybe hurt what this match would have been, and ultimately hurt what I think their plans with the Parea were for the tour, because they have the little, like, the breakdown, which goes all the way back to them, their history as a tag team. They went over to the States to try and break into the States, and then Eli ended up coming back to Australia, and they did a whole angle about he abandoned King Kreas, who then had to pivot from wrestling to Twitch streaming and try and find a way to make a living over there, and it's blown up for him. So great for him, with maybe a very suspicious camera person following him to the ring for this one. So yeah, like, I think that's probably what ultimately hurt this match the most, because the Good Brothers are going to be the Good Brothers and do their shtick.
Yeah.
But you had the Parea, who can work really well, but one of them was basically hobbled, so couldn't do a lot anyway.
And the thing is, I really liked what they did with the Parea in this. Like, even I had no idea about the injury. I'm just like, I loved everything about what they did with the Parea here. I thought that Theseus worked incredibly well with the Good Brothers. I thought he even made Gallows look like he was actually trying and working in this match. Like, he really went out there and did the things he needed to do. I will never praise enough the work of Karl Anderson. I think he's one of the unsung heroes of New Japan Pro Wrestling and whatnot. To be able to do the things he's done with Doc Gallows, basically as the biggest anchor attached to him. But I love the heel turn of King Kreas, just like walking away and having Theseus kind of still fighting with it and almost winning this match a couple times, like kicking out of the Magic Killer once or twice, like reversing out of it, kicking out of it. They really made him feel like a big deal, even if they planned on beating him 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the like. I love the fact that he still felt important throughout the match. Astrid?
Yeah, I was gonna say because I like the tag team, but I was gonna say my one negative point about the match was like I wanted to see more of them in the ring, like do either their double team moves or and have Kreas do a little bit more in the ring. But now that you mentioned about the injury, and I understand why he was barely a part of it because I feel like he really stood out in the match. But I wanted to see more of the team working together, and I didn't get to really enjoy that before the heel turn happened. I was like, I'm liking you guys, and then the heel turn happens. I don't get to see them working together. So that was my one like negative aspect of the match itself. Because like I was saying, I like how Eli works with the Good Brothers so far, and they make each other look good in the end. But I just wanted more from this match, and the match actually for short for me as well, which is another thing. I'm like, I wanted more from the match. I was enjoying it, and then it ended. I was like, why didn't it end kind of quick for me? I like the pacing of it too. And I was wondering why it ended the way it did and why it ended so quickly too. So now it answers all the questions that I had left as to why the match happened the way it happened. But still, it's like I feel like they did really well for what they had to work with, especially when it's something that happened. I was gonna say not last minute, but kind of like short notice if you think about it that way.
Yeah, I think they did the best that they could in terms of the circumstances. Like if they'd both been fit and healthy, I think there would have been a lot more to it, and we would have used the 4 shows to build to an ultimate like one-on-one encounter between the two Parea members. But yeah, that all kind of fell to the wayside. I did like that Kreas was streaming on Twitch the entire time he was in the match too. He had the microphone on his headband, the camera person on the outside.
I honestly missed all of that. Like I didn't even realize that he was streaming the whole time, so that was great. 9 minutes 2 seconds. New tag team champions for WSW, the Good Brothers, as they defeat the Parea. I like this. I thought it was really good. The other thing I want to talk about here, because we're going to talk about them throughout the night, the interesting way that WSW does their commentary. They're not in the building. They're somewhere else with a feed to the show. And I think that really helps because their audio is crisp and clear throughout the thing because they're not dealing with fighting between their audio and the audio of everything going on in the arena. And they're able to tell you exactly what you see on television because that's the exact same feed that they're looking at. So there's nothing else that they can see that they have to pretend to hide from everybody else. And that's always something interesting with live audio, live commentary versus live commentary from a secondary location. Ashley, what did you think of this?
For this one, I wouldn't say they weren't exactly like my top favorites or anything like that. I think the match that I enjoyed the most was definitely the main event because they actually gave us like they talked about the previous champions and me like having no idea about the history of it. I like them saying, "Oh, Brandon is a former champion and this person," and building up that resume for the championship. It made the championship feel important too. It did make me laugh at one point because one of them they started reading the comments from the live stream, and somebody said in the live stream something along the lines of like, "Oh, I thought it was sold out, but I see empty seats." I'm like, "Why would you read that out loud?" And during the stream for everybody else to hear that, I was like, "I wouldn't have read that out loud."
It was a joke. It was a joke because of all the chairs that they were pulling out from under the ring.
I know, but it sounds. But if you think about it, that way,
it sounded bad.
Yeah,
if you
it
weren't
sounds
paying
horrible. I'm like, it sounds like just a random person. Like that's the one comment that you read off the screen. But I like them reading up the comments from what they see in the live feed as well. So it's fun when you see something like that because I don't think of any other company that I've heard of that can actually look at the live stream and say, "Oh, so and so said this and so said that." So I think like that made it differently and encourages people to actually be in the live chat and say something because their comment might be read off on screen as well. So that's why I liked it. But it made me laugh when I hear that comment. So it's like, joke or not, it sounds kind of weird to say that a lot. It's like there's empty chairs in there. I'm like, don't say that.
Yeah.
This was the first time they've done commentary in this way with the sort of off-site commentary team. Normally they have, because they partner with the local promotions in those cities, and usually they'll have a variation of their commentary team to do each event because they were just going to, at the time, Triller or DVD sales. Mm-hmm. So like this was the first time they've done it that way, and they used this team for every show, which was different. Yeah, they were solid. They are not my favorite commentary team. PWA have the best commentary team in the country, I think. And they do what Astrid talked about, like incorporate the live feed and the comments and things. So yeah, solid commentary team. And yeah, the offsite thing, I guess, yeah, it works because you do get the view that everyone else is seeing. They're commentating on that, not necessarily what they can see. So it works pretty solid.
Bobby popping in and saying he enjoys the Riot Cities team as well.
Yep. They're also very good.
Yeah. We move on to our first women's match of the night, one of two women's matches on the show, as we have Myla Grace taking on Priscilla Kelly, Hell's favorite harlot, for the #1 contendership to the WSW women's title, which will be defended again later on in the evening. Jamie, what do you think of this match?
This one, because I don't watch a lot of TNA, this was like one of my first sort of encounters with Myla Grace. And I thought it was a very impressive outing from her, kind of hard-hitting match from both ladies when they really got down and dirty and into it. My one sort of complaint with a lot of Priscilla's matches throughout the tour was there's maybe a little bit too much of leaning into the sort of sexualized side of her personality with the booty moves and things like that. And Ash does it a little bit too in some of the later, particularly when they face off each other in Melbourne. I was like, oh, that's like, women's wrestling has come a long way and we don't like to lean into that sexualized stuff. And then they do it. And I was like, you are too good of a wrestler to rely on all of this stuff when you could just, like I said, when they get into the actual wrestling, it's hard hitting and it's really crisp and fun to watch. And then we fall back onto those bits. So maybe a little bit less of that.
Astrid?
Yeah, I was gonna say I get that because in some aspects it feels more like it gives them more of a feel of a comedy sort of thing, and I feel like when they do the hard hitting matches, it feels more like serious. So it feels like almost in a way like Myla's wrestling one way, and then PK's wrestling a different way, and it doesn't match up until like I would say like almost like I don't want to say like halfway ish into the match when Priscilla stops doing all these moves and she starts to doing more serious moves, and I prefer that side of it as well. Because I feel like it matches up with Myla more when they do that kind of thing instead of just being almost like a comedy thing. And it's like, in the way I see it, Priscilla is not a comedy wrestler and doesn't feel like it doesn't give the vibe that she is and doesn't give you that. Her character doesn't feel that way. So for her to try something like that, I feel like it doesn't go with her character. I know she's doing the rascal thing, obviously, but at the end, it doesn't fit with what she's doing. I feel like if you're going to do something like that, you need a character change to fit in with the moves that you're doing. And I feel like at first the moves don't match up with the character until she gets a little bit more serious into the match. And then it matches up and they do even better when they feel like they're almost like on the same page when it comes to the moves. I understand them actually picking Priscilla to win the match, but I would have preferred Myla had won it. I feel like giving an opportunity to somebody that's a little bit more of like newer to the scene compared to Priscilla would have been something different to watch as well. So I was hoping she would win it. Again, it's like I feel like this was another one that I'm not complaining about the time frame, but it felt very short as well. Like it felt like such a quick match. So I was like enjoying it, and all of a sudden it just ended the way it ended. And I was hoping it was a 2 count, and then all of a sudden it was a 3. And I was like, oh, okay, it's over the way it is. Because especially I was hoping that Myla would win it. But I feel like they do very decent when they're like very serious with each other. Like the comedy stuff doesn't fit either one of them so far for me.
Yeah, when we talk about Asher brought it up, it felt like halfway through they finally felt like they gelled. I was going to say the exact same thing. I felt like the chemistry was off the entire beginning of this match. Like Priscilla Kelly is so good at everything she does, and watching her seemingly work at half speed for the beginning of this match, and then like Asher said, about halfway they got to pick it up and everything seems to click and everything seems to gel. And I was just like, that seemed a bit surprising to me. But then again, the two people who haven't worked each other probably ever, because Myla Grace is so young into this, and Priscilla Kelly is just getting back onto any kind of independent scene after her time in WWE. I really enjoyed this match. The other thing I would say, that the one thing I enjoyed was watching Myla Grace for the first time, because I don't watch a whole lot of TNA, so I wasn't able to do it. I did, however, go back after seeing this, knowing that she got her release, and wanted to say, how many opportunities would I have gotten to watch her in 2026? So this match happened in May of 2026. Can you guess how many times she had appeared on TNA television in a wrestling match in 2026 before her release?
I'd
I did
say
the
less
math.
than 10. Less than 10 at least, I can tell you that much.
It's probably like 4.
It's Booker T's favorite number, 5.
See, I knew it was less than 10.
she had 5 matches on TNA for the entire, and I'm like, man, if only she was signed to a wrestling company in the United States that could showcase this. Oh wait, she was, and they didn't.
No, the irony is like we talked about her on the last show, and we said we barely see Myla on like TNA social media and everything, and all of a sudden the news come up about her release, and I went, we were just talking about her, how she just disappeared from TNA, and then she literally disappeared from TNA. It's like I think she was a little bit a part of NXT UK for a little while, but it wasn't much. But again, it's just like she's one of those people that she's so young that you have barely seen her like scratch the surface with her. That's why I was hoping that she will win the matches. I'm like, I feel like she will benefit more from that opportunity than Priscilla would have. But either way, I like that she's putting those promos up of like her being on her own, and hopefully now other people with independent companies will come pick her up and book her, because I would like to see her more often.
Yeah, I mean, she'll get booked in Progress. She'll get booked over in Eve. Like she'll go back to the UK if she wants to and just get booked left, right, and center. That won't be a hard thing. Booked in the United States, probably. I mean, we've seen Jada. The reason why we talked about Myla Grace last time we were on, because we were talking about Jada Stone, who's another member of those TNA women who just don't seem to get used. To pull back the curtain a little bit, me and Ashley were talking in the Olay Discord earlier when she posted that Tasha Steelz got re-signed with TNA, and I'm like, I mean, good for her for keeping her job, but why? Like, why on God's green earth would you continue to stay with this company who's seemingly done doing women's wrestling? Because the Knockouts used to be one of the standard bearers for the TNA product, and seemingly, I can't tell you who the TNA Knockouts champion is. I think it's Xia Li or whatever they're calling her now. I forget what her indie name is, but I think it's her. But before that, was it Ariana Grace before that? Like I barely remember any of this. Like, I know she had a title from TNA, but I can't remember if that was what the title was or if she's just holding something for Stacks. Like, the Knockouts division in TNA has so much talent, and they're just pissing it away. Like, literally pissing both money and talent away. And it makes no sense. So it's great to see somebody like Myla Grace on this show. It's great to see somebody like Jada Stone on the last show we covered with PWJ cards. Anybody else?
I assume Myla will be back for the October tour as well, because she seemed to do really well. And it's weird, like she lost this match, and then in Melbourne, I think Priscilla got a title match on the first show in Melbourne, and then Myla got one on the second show and won the title, and then dropped it again in Sydney. It's just like, it's the hard part where they bring in 4 women from international, but then only have like them face each other in the various pairings that they can do across 4 shows. They didn't incorporate any Australian women on the entire tour, which felt really weird, but it is what it is.
I mean, you've got Charlie Evans, you've got Jessica Troy. I don't know what part of the New Zealand, Australia area they're from, but I don't think like they wouldn't travel if necessary. Like, they seem like they'd be willing to travel if available. So, and I don't think either one of them are over here in the States working. So I mean,
it was weird. Like this overall tour was a very strange one for incorporating Aussie talent.
Yeah.
Speaking of Aussie, I don't think in the entire tour an Australian won a match.
Hold on, I have all the shows up right here next to me, so I can take a look.
Yeah. I
have the cage match up for everything. I'm looking at it right now.
Normally an Australian gets like 1 upset.
Yeah, nope, none. Not a single Australian won a match on the entire 4 shows.
Yeah. Which was very weird.
Then what's the point?
Somebody has to lose to the American talent.
I know, but all of them? That's a lot.
I mean, to be honest with you, there's only 3 other people that were on the show. I'm sorry. 1, 2. Sorry, there's 5 other people on here. For the other 3 shows, there's only 5 new names for Australian talent on the entire tour, other than the ones we saw on this show.
And I'm pretty sure Charlie was advertised for the Sydney one and then wasn't on the Sydney show.
Plans change, right? Isn't that Meltzer's thing? Plans
Can't
change.
Subject to change.
All right. We'll move on to talking about our Australian talent. We have the old guard at obviously not defeating the Nemeths. I'm going to let Ashley talk about this first, but I want to say my one little fun thing. Having watched this match now, I am no longer able to say that I've unfortunately never had to watch Ryan Nemeth wrestle. So that's a shame. Until this point, I could have always said that I've never had to watch him wrestle. And
I hate to say because they're
Everybody
nice,
gets
but
one.
it's like Gallows and Anderson all over again. It's like you have one with the other one. It's like you have to book them together. They're a package deal, unfortunately. So you want Nick, if you want Ryan, you get Nick too.
No. You don't have to, because throughout this card, Nick works multiple matches without Ryan. Like, Ryan's on the card, but he's not winning, and 2, he's not.
He doesn't need to win either, so it's okay.
No, honestly, I don't want him to wrestle, period. But somebody's got to lose to Dijak, so it's fine.
It's fine. We'll let him lose to Dijak. We're okay with that.
Astrid, tag team match. The old guard taking on the Nemeths.
I really enjoy the old guard, and I'm glad this was more of one of those matches that I could see a little bit more of the tag team on like the opener. So I'm glad that we had the opportunity more on this one here. It's just like the only thing, and like we had just talked about this like a few seconds ago. I'm not a fan of the fact that obviously it's because they're bigger names, and I understand that, but I would have liked it if like a tag team from there will win the match instead of the Nemeths. Like, for me, that would have been better to see rather than the Nemeths winning, because it just feels like, okay. I'm like, I like Ryan, but Nick, you're just there for the funsies. So that's the only part that I was like, I don't like that part of it. I like the chemistry they have as a team and everything. I especially love the fact when Matt has Nick hanging from the corner there, the way he does like a ragdoll at one point. It's like, visually, I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. I felt bad, but I also went, I don't know. I prefer him in the corner there, actually. You might keep him there for a little bit. But yeah, overall, I like the match. It was fun, but still, it's like I could have done really. I'm not saying I'm not a fan of Nick, but I'm not entirely there either. I'm like, I prefer Ryan anytime.
Yes, the old guard is indeed Brady and Basso.
No, it was Brady and Matt Basso. There's multiple Bassos.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
There's Matt Basso and Chris Basso, who's currently taking time away.
Oh, okay. Yes, it was indeed Matt Basso. And I believe, if I remember correctly, Matt Basso is the one with the beard that had the really cool spot where Nick like grabs the beard and it like depowers him. That was my favorite thing of this entire match, was watching that whole segment where like Nick just like grabs the beard and all of a sudden this guy, the big huge hulking guy, is like, oh, I'm defeatable again. I thought that was great. I like I said, I tease Ryan Nemeth. He's a fine professional. Like I don't need to see him on my television screen ever, but like he's not objectionably a bad wrestler. He takes bumps, he works hard, he does all the things he needs to do. He's not afraid to look like an idiot. Like, ironically, he's very much like Nick. He's just not nearly as talented or charismatic as Nick. He's really good at what he does, and he's a fantastic enhancement talent. But at the end of the day, like, that's kind of all I get from Ryan Nemeth. Nick Nemeth deserves the world even now at his older age, and as they said on commentary, he still looks like he's 20 some odd years old. And I mean, I don't necessarily agree that he looks like he did when he first started in WWE, but not long after that. Like, I feel like Dolph Ziggler, from winning his world title with the Money in the Bank to Nick Nemeth now running around with as the wanted man are basically the same guy, just in a time portal. I like the old guard. I was hoping they would win. I think there's a lot of fun and interesting that I'm going to look into them to see. They're not my one to watch, but I really enjoyed watching them work here. Obviously, the Nemeths get the win because they have to challenge for the tag team titles later on in the shows. In the Melbourne show, they go ahead and challenge unsuccessfully for the tag team titles against the Good Brothers.
Unfortunately, yeah. Watching this, you realize how vastly different in terms of charisma Ryan and Nick are, because Nick is just such an incredible pro wrestler, incredibly charismatic, and playing the big baby face here, who in just like, if the crowd got massively behind the old guard because they're the local boys, Nick could immediately flip into heel mode and it would work, whereas I think Ryan would kind of flap around a bit and not fall into that as well. But yeah, the old guard really impressed in this because they just went old school size difference tag team wrestling of beat down Ryan in the corner and absolutely dominate him, frequent tags, taking advantage of their size. And the way they structured this match really made it believable that they were going to get the win, which I thought was really well done, because when Grim kicks out of the sort of the roll up and then hit the big boot, I was like, oh, they're going to actually give the Aussies a win. But no, was silly of me to think that, because that never happens. But yeah, they're both incredible wrestlers. Dean is the current RCW Grand Champion, has held it for over 200 days. So he's definitely someone, if you want to check out really good Australian wrestling, he's one to watch. Zaria's legitimate brother. So,
oh, good to know. Yep. Championships run in that family. As Zaria is now.
She was the inaugural Grand Champion, and now it's gone through a couple of people and gone to him.
He is extremely good. Yeah, I enjoyed everything that we saw in this match. Yeah. All right, so now we have the unenviable task of trying to talk about this fatal four-way between four men, two of which we're more than happy to talk about, and two men we're pretty much going to try to ignore as much as we can. So we have the champion who started the night, disgraced professional wrestler Matt Riddle. Also in this match, we have Moose, who, while being a disgusting human being, I will have the hot take that I almost always enjoy watching Moose wrestle. I understand I'm in the minority in this, but disgusting human being, I agree. Moose is not a good person. That being said, I enjoy the style of match that Moose works, and I think he really did a really good job here. I think in this match with this group of people, I think Moose really helped stand out, especially with Donovan Dijak, who was in here, and local Aussie Matt Hayter, who is my one to watch, because this guy was fucking fantastic. I love everything about this guy from beginning to end. Jamie, tell us a little bit about Matt Hayter.
The official ego, Stevie Wonder's favorite wrestler he's ever seen. Zaria's favorite wrestler as well, apparently. He's incredible. So yeah, I'm glad he sort of connected with you in that way, because I've been watching him for a long time and known how good he is. And it was nice that they gave him a lot in this match. And I think everybody got a lot in this match. Like, everyone had a moment to sort of show what they had, and there was a nice mixture of styles. You had the big meaty men slapping meat section, some crazy suplex spots from Dijak and Moose and Riddle, and then you get the high flying bits. Hayter fit in with all of those, but then he also got his comedy bits with his kind of thrust bit in the start. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I laughed that Moose was still rocking his system gear after being kicked out of the system months ago.
Gear is expensive, man. Moose is not going to waste money on new gear when he has gear he can keep using.
Yeah. And yeah, just watching this, I immediately went, how did WWE not make money with Dijak? He's like custom built for that company. And it was just like, I don't know how that didn't work out for them. And then we get a black hoodie reveal because that's what you have to do in wrestling these days, apparently.
I mean, yes, the wrestling that you're accustomed to watching every Wednesday night, yes, black hoodie, lights out, that whole spiel is definitely right up there. They do it less in the other company, but they've done it before. But the hoodie part they keep. It's the lights out that they don't do as much anymore. But yes, Astrid, your thoughts on Donovan Dijak becoming the new Australian champion here in this Fatal 4-Way?
I was gonna say I definitely agree with you on the Moose part because I watched Moose when they have come here for TNA at least once every few years, and I can say this is the best match I've seen from Moose so far, and that's telling you something. And I even watched it when he was world champion in TNA, and this was so much better. And when this is not the same Moose that I watched in TNA, that felt really slow, and I like the way he was working this match because this is the quickest I've seen him do, and it worked for him. Like I'm like finally I can see him have like at least a decent match. And I've never seen that from him. I don't care for Riddle. I'm not going to even talk about him at this point. But yeah, I love the parts here with Matt Hayter. I feel like he, even being around the veterans here, he really stood out here in so many ways. I love I don't forget if it was a moonsault that he did at one point towards the outside as well, the way he did it. I feel like that was really well done. And I love how with the camera work, they captured it really well, so we're able to see everything there too. I love how he comes in it's one of those people like you don't forget he's in the match because every now and then something will happen with the veterans and then he'll come in, try to steal the thunder, and it doesn't work out for him. So he does it a couple of times. So you're able to see him very often. And I feel like he did very well in this match. I do love the work from Dijak in this match as well. He's one of those people it makes me wish I would have seen a little bit more from him. Like I would have wanted him more in WWE to do stuff like this because it's so fun. It's so different from what I had seen with him. Plus, I feel like even though him being a heel, I feel like I got used to him being more of a baby face. So if something like this for me, it's weird to see with him, and I like it a lot, and I'm not used to it. I did forget this is the moment for the buddy reveal though. I knew there was somebody with a hoodie, and I forgot it was Buddy, and I was like, I know I had seen this on social media, and I forgot it was this particular show. So when I saw the person, I went, oh, I should have known it was him, but I forgot it happened. But overall, fun match. I feel like this is also one that I love not only the pacing, but the length of the match. I feel like it really well done. And like Jamie said, I love that everybody got a moment to shine in this match. Everybody had a little bit of something, so you could see a little bit from everybody. So I feel like it felt very equal in the sense of it for competitors.
Yeah, it was really well structured.
Yeah, they killed it with this one. Fatal 4-Ways don't always work. Me and Ash talk about how so many times it's either the really good Fatal 4-Way or the really bad Fatal 4-Way, and this one was definitely one of the good ones. It really worked. Dijak and Moose playing the heels, the other two playing essentially baby faces. Hayter kind of just tippy-toeing on either side of that, depending on what he wanted to do.
Hayter is kind of like that all the time. Whether he's meant to be the hard and fast baby face, he still has moments where you're like, that was not the nicest thing in the world that you could have said. So yeah, if you enjoyed him in this match, definitely go on his Instagram and just check out some of his promos because he's also an incredible talker.
Trying to find a really good picture of him for the thumbnail because that's what I was looking for one. I dived into some of his stuff the other night and he became my favorite just by going through his social media. Like, this guy is sensational. He reminds me a little bit of, and this is going to be a real twist of people, Angel Garza mixed with Dalton Castle. Like, when I watch Matt Hayter, that's who I picture if I have to put two people together and this is who it is. He wrestles a bit like Angel Garza, but the whole personality, the whole vibe of his character feels very Dalton Castle. Like the part where he's in like a full body suit and then he does the thrust thing into Riddle's face, which I thought it was funny that Riddle was the one who took that in the face for obvious reasons, that's funny. But then to go ahead and then have him like strip out of it into a pair of trunks, and even the announcers being like, oh God, does he have anything underneath? Being like, he's the kind of guy who would just strip out of it into barely nothing on underneath. I thought it was great that he had, another pair of, that you can see the whole boots as opposed to just like the little boots. I thought I loved everything about this. And like I said, I really enjoyed Moose in this. Like, terrible human being, bad person, don't want to see good things happen to him. But really, really fun time watching him work here with these guys. And of course, I'm never going to, be disappointed watching Donovan Dijak wrestle. I mean, I think I watched Donovan Dijak wrestle more than almost any person on the planet. Like, for somebody who's not Dijak's number one fan, and considering the amount of merch I have from Dijak, that's really saying something. Well, I mean, because I have like both Astrid and Bobby's Christmas gifts were cards signed by Donovan Dijak from his Whatnot. Astrid has an 8x10 signed by Donovan Dijak with Keith Lee on it. I have a pair of ring-worn Donovan Dijak sunglasses that I accidentally won on Whatnot. By the way, I almost had to take my credit card off of Whatnot after this weekend. We'll talk about that after the show, Astrid. But like, because he's a Northeast guy, like, I get to see him work so many shows, and I get to see so much of what he does. It's always different. Like, it's the same guy doing the same kind of thing. But we just talked about Donovan Dijak at C4 about a month or so ago, Astrid, with Donovan Dorjak working that match. And this is a completely different Donovan Dijak in this one. He's a bigger heel here. He's working alongside Tom Pescott. He's working alongside Bishop Dyer. Not necessarily in this match, but on this tour, they're working essentially as a collective unit. I thought they were absolutely sensational together. I really enjoyed everything that he did in this. And, I was so bummed at the end of the tour when he doesn't leave with the title and the title goes back with the same person who walked in with it, unfortunately. Because I was like, Dijak versus Buddy seemed to be the match they were setting up. And I'm like, that'll be a really cool match in October. I'll make sure I check that out. And then to see who walked away with the title coming out of the last show, it's like, well, fine. Whatever.
I suspect that they'll build to Dijak and Buddy in the Melbourne show, because that's like Buddy's hometown. So they'll build to that being like the finale of the tour.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if Buddy was gonna have a shot at the Australian title early legs, like the New Zealand portion, and then by the time we get to Melbourne or Sydney, if he'd be challenging somebody like Kross for the championship.
Yep.
So I think I thought that was, because he said he's here for all the titles, and I was like, it would make sense if maybe early in the tour wins the Australian title, loses the Australian title, and then by the time they get to Melbourne, all of a sudden he's challenging Kross for the championship. So like, that seems like a big money match that would be fun to put on, and that would still give the Australian crowd an Aussie to have in the main event. Because as we said, not only did none of the Aussies win in the main events, none of the Aussies worked the main event of any of these four shows. Kross worked the main event in all four shows. He worked Dyer in this show. He worked Riddle in the second show. He works Moose in the third show. He works Nemeth in the fifth and the fourth show. So it's like, he didn't work any Aussies the entire time. And I'm like, at least with Buddy, at least you have an Aussie. Granted, he's an AEW signed Australian, but at least that would be something to do.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts on any of these people in this Fatal 4-Way?
It was just, this match and the tag match previous were my two favorite matches, and to have them back to back was the middle portion of this show is pretty crazy.
Yeah. We then go to our intermission, which if you're watching the broadcast, I was like, oh, great, intermission. Ash will be very happy because it'll suck up some time of this 3-hour runtime, because God forbid a wrestling show is worth more than 2 hours on a runtime, because it makes Astrid panic that she's not going to watch the whole show. And then they're like, we'll be right back after this intermission. Not even a second and a half later, all right, we're back. And I'm like, oh God, Astrid's going to be so upset.
Yeah, because they cut it out of the the on-demand version.
Yeah, they did. Which was
The fact that you bring this up, and when I figured with 3 hours, I was like, there has to be an intermission in the middle here somewhere, right? And then I start going through the middle. I'm like, nope. Okay, I guess the 3 hours it'll be.
Yeah, there was a good 30-minute intermission on the live stream, but yeah, the posts on demand
I'll
they've cut
admit,
out.
I'm the kind of person that I will forward the replays. I'm like, I don't need the replays, and the entrances for a little bit too long at times, so I forward anything like that. I just want the matches. Everything else you can cut off, and I'll be happy campers. So, still was less than 3 hours for me.
Speaking of entrances, coming out of their intermission. Oh God, this match. By the way, the longest match on the card, and does my looking one more time. Second longest match of the entire tour. Man like DeReiss taking on my new favorite wrestler in the world, the Tuckman.
I got my hater read.
Yeah, I figured you'd have your haterade for this. Before we get to that, Jamie, can you explain to us what a Tuckman is? Because they did it, and I forgot to write it down, but I figure that you can give us a much better example of what this is.
The Tuckman is what we in Australia like to call a bogan. He's a dude from out in the west in the country, and he just wants to fight people and drink beers. And that's what the Tuckman does. He also likes to dance, which he did a lot in this. A lot of Chelsea Dagger dance, which I assume is the issue Astrid has with this match. The close to 20 minutes of entrance. Which was like it was annoying watching it because it does go on for an exorbitant amount of time. I think it was probably like that because with these shows, the intermission is a big like meet and greet signings, get your merch thing for a lot of people. So I imagine they put this here to kind of extend that out and give people time to get back from wherever the meet and greet part was and get back to their seats.
Astrid, we're going to go ahead and change the layout of this for a second here.
No, I was like, please don't do full screen though.
No, not quite full screen, but mostly.
Okay. So I was excited to watch this because I know of man like DeReiss. I obviously didn't know about Tuckman until this match happened. So I was excited for this match up until it didn't happen almost. That's what it felt like. Because I don't mind doing the comedy wrestling. You know, we were watching Mystery Wrestling and I enjoy every bit of it. You know that. I don't mind my comedy wrestling. But I feel like you need a balance of it too. And it's like, it felt like too much playing around compared to what we got in the match. So at that time, I was like, I'm just going to keep forwarding this until I get to the match because I can't do it. And then just when I think the match is about to start, it still doesn't start.
Run it back.
So,
Gotta run it back.
I was like, I feel like I had 2 false starts during this whole thing. And I'm like, I don't mind this, but just like, why is it so long? I feel like it took, like Ed said, it took longer than anything else on the card. And I was like, my patience was running out on this. So at that moment, I already had to pause this when I was watching it and then take that moment to start watching it the next day this morning because I just couldn't do it yesterday. But no, I liked him, but it was too long. It was too long for my taste. I just couldn't do it.
The entrance was too much. I'll agree. The entrance was too much.
Everything.
Particularly because it was like, it was the Tuckman entrance that was double the length because they ran it back.
Yeah.
But then there was also the DeReiss entrance right before it. So it was a lot of entrance before we got to the match. But once the match started, the match was awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
But
I
thoroughly at the beginning a little.
I thoroughly enjoyed everything that these two guys like. They took 16 minutes, 16 seconds. Like I said, it's one of the longest matches on the like I said, it's the longest match on the show. It's the second or third longest match on the entire week. Like 4 shows, it's one of the longest matches entirely. The only matches longer than this is, again, man like DeReiss taking on Mitch Waterman on the Melbourne show is the only match longer than this, and it's only slightly longer than a street fight between Nick Nemeth and Bishop Dyer.
Wow.
So, like, man like DeReiss put in actual ring time. Oh, I'm sorry, no. Man Like DeReiss' opening match in a triple threat against Ilya and Moose was 16 minutes and 57 seconds.
Yeah. Man Like DeReiss was the MVP of this tour for in-ring, and every one of his matches was probably the match of the night.
He's so fun.
He's fantastic to watch. He's got all the charisma in coming out. Not that he needed more popularity, but coming out of Mania weekend with the popularity in the publicity he got with the Nans who were there, you know, on the airplane flight that he was talking to, that happened to randomly find him at his wrestling show in Vegas. And then, you know, like he's such a good breath of fresh air in professional wrestling, considering you have people on this show like Moose, like Riddle, to have a breath of fresh air like a person like Man Like DeReiss, who's just all about having fun and killing it in the ring. Like, I'm not a huge fan of like the entrance gimmick. It's a better version of an R-Truth. It feels a bit Jey Uso. Like, it feels like it's a bit of this and a bit of that, and it's not for me. But it doesn't have to be for me, because I can watch it and go, this is fucking great. I don't love it. It's not for me, but I can see why everybody loves Man Like DeReiss. Because I can remember 2 or 3 years ago talking to Astrid about Man Like DeReiss when I'm talking about him working WrestleMania weekend against Viva Van. Because that's where I first heard the name Man Like DeReiss, is when he pretended like he was out cold in the corner just to get the stink face from Viva Van, and then wakes up as she's turning around and pretends to be dead again. That's the first time I ever heard the name. He's fantastic at finding the way to be the viral moment of everything. But to be one of the best wrestlers on a card, that includes Killer Kross, that includes Nick Nemeth, that includes Dijak, Dyer, that includes people like, I hate to say it, but including people like Karl Anderson. Like, these are all super talented professional wrestlers, and DeReiss might be better than all of them right now. At this point in time, I think he's better in ring. I think he's better than Kross. I think he's better than almost everybody on these entire cards. I'd have to defer to Jamie to see if he's better than all of the names of the Aussies on these cards. But as far as I can tell, on all these cards, I don't think there's anybody in ring better than him.
Yeah, Mitch Waterman was right up there with him. Their match is incredible. Maybe the match of the tour. Tuckman can be very good when he sort of knuckles down and gets serious, which we get a glimpse of in this match. If you want a deeper view of that, go back and watch Tuckman versus Robbie Eagles for the Soul of PWA title. When Tuckman finally overcomes Robbie, that's an incredible match as well. So, yeah, I thought this was incredible. Like an electrifying match when they stuck in and got rolling, and really fast paced, really hard hitting. Very good.
Yeah. The as Astrid said, I had a feeling when Astrid told me she needed her haterade for something. I'm like, well, here we go. This is where that's going to come out, because this was all about fun. So obviously somebody had to hate it, and it wasn't me, so it had to be her.
It wasn't you for the first time. I did love like the 619 from Man Like DeReiss. Chef's kiss. Loved it. I feel like I see it in a different light now that I see somebody else doing it, because it's such a bigger guy compared to Rey Mysterio. So seeing him do it, I was like, that was very impressive. But what my favorite thing about this match, though, is how they have the crowd in the palm of their hands. Because it's not, it's one of those things I always say, to have the crowd the way they did, it's something that it's rare. And the fact that the crowd reacts to both of them, too, it's not just like one over the other one. They do mix it up between both. I love that so much. And seeing like not only that, but the play off the crowd too. I think Shotzi tries to do it in the match as well. But I love how they play off with the crowd at the beginning. You know, I was like, I like that energy, and it brings it up a little bit more. No, Babyface Ed is just retiring after tonight. I don't do haterade often. So
don't worry. The Babyface Ed is about to go right out the window, because we're getting to our next match.
I thought to myself, the moment I see Ash by Elegance in the card, I know Ed's haterade is coming out.
Believe it or not, that's not my. But let's just get into it. Okay, so the next match is the WSW Women's Championship match. Champion Ash by Elegance taking on Shotzi Blackheart. All right. We all know I'm not a huge Ash by Elegance fan. If you've watched any of our content ever, you'll know I'm not a huge Ash by Elegance fan. I was literally rooting against her live in Lowell when she won the TNA Women's Championship in front of my face. And I had to sadly watch her win and feel like, oh, this is sad. She was my favorite part of this match. Because here's the thing. I'm not sure Shotzi Blackheart can actually wrestle anymore.
Without doing the hardcore stuff?
Without doing like, so there's hardcore wrestling has its elements, like Matt Cardona's run on the indies being the deathmatch king. Bear Bronson's run right now, where he bounces between being a really good pro wrestler and being a guy doing a ton of deathmatch stuff and making that his new name and doing the back and forth. Those are great. Every time I see this match was not supposed to be no disqualifications. Like, it's listed as a no disqualification match. At no point during this show is it ever announced as that. It is done in
commentary
hindsight.
Mentions it too. They said that even know if it was no DQ.
Yeah. And I think it's because I'm not sure Shotzi can handle wrestling a 12-minute match, not doing all of the stupid plunder shit. And to be honest with you, it's not even a really good no disqualification match. It's fine, but like, this is where we get the joke about, I thought the show was sold from a comment from a person watching being like, I thought the show was sold out. Why are there so many empty seats? As they throw like 10 chairs into the ring. The door being used, and Ash rolling off the door and the door rolling off the chairs. Like, this match is a bit of a comedy of errors. It's a fine match. But when I have to go into this and go, Ash by Elegance is the best women's wrestler on this entire show, that's a scary thing to talk about. And at the end of the day, if I really go back and look at the four women on this show, as much as I like Myla Grace, and as much as I personally think Priscilla Kelly is a fantastic wrestler, and I do, I think she's fantastic. The best pro wrestling of the night from the women was done by Ash by Elegance. Which is saying something.
Oh, Bobby, you better clip that, please.
I mean, you.
She's doing great in MLW. I can tell you that much too. And even watching her. So that one thing that threw me off from this match though was first the commentary says we don't even know if this is an ODQ match. It's like we're gonna know now when she starts bringing up the stuff and then she starts bringing up the weapons. Hits Ash with the weapons, and then the referee doesn't DQ her. So like okay, I guess it is no DQ, and they keep going from there. I was like, I feel like it would have been helpful to state that from the beginning because I feel bad for commentary that they're confused just as we are to begin with, and I feel like she does very well in the match, and she tries playing off from the crowd too. It's just a matter of like that confusion at the beginning. I feel like it wasn't clicking really until they brought in the weapons. And I feel like they do, like you said, it's fine. It's not like it's bad or it's like extremely good or anything like that. It's fine, but I feel like she's doing great work in MLW, like with just regular matches too.
I mean, I wouldn't know. I mean, I've watched 2 MLW shows my entire life. Both of them were to the channel, so we'll just go ahead and leave MLW with that.
We get like glimpses of what Shotzi can do. Like there were moments where I was like, I can see why she's blowing up all over the indies and the US at the moment when she does like get into the just straight wrestles. There was some good moments. But yeah, it just breaks down into this weird hardcore no DQ match in air quotes. And yeah, like you said, it wasn't listed as a DQ match. The commentary didn't know it was a no DQ match. And then it's annoying because then the main event is also like breaks down into no DQ. And I was like, it just shows that unfortunately Adrian, the owner of World Series Wrestling, kind of just seems to give them a little bit too much free reign, and they kind of hang themselves with the rope that they're given, because it's like, if this was a structured show from one of the more established companies, you would have people saying, oh, we want to do this, or we're going to do this in the main event. Well, then the match before it, the semi-main event, no, you can't do the hardcore stuff because the main event is a hardcore match. So it just, the booking of the overall card felt off because these two relied on all of that stuff. And like, there were some good moments in terms of like the whisper in the wind onto the chair, off the chair looked crazy. There was a good pivot by Shotzi when Ash rolled off the door and the door fell. They worked out how to move on without sort of looking like either of them looking stupid because of it. So I think they did well there. I hate the throne chair spot that Ash did in the match too. I just overall hate when someone throws a chair, because I just feel like you give away any semblance of control over that outcome. It could ricochet a weird way and catch the person, and then that throws the entire match off. It could ricochet into the crowd. And I don't like people doing it at all. But otherwise, it was solid. It did the job of what they wanted to get Ash over a bit more. But yeah, maybe I would have moved this into a different spot on the card if they'd known they were going to do this leading into the main event.
Yeah, and I think it's funny looking back on it. All, as I say, is Shotzi able to do it? All of Ash's matches on this are no disqualification matches. The first two are considered no DQ matches on cage match. And then the next two, the two Myla Grace matches, are considered Elegance rules matches, which, if I remember correctly from her TNA stuff, is basically a no disqualification match.
Yeah, they all end up being no DQ.
Yeah, so it's like, I agree with Jimmy.
I wonder if, because she did announce that she had surgery shortly before this tour.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if it was like trying to hide that a little bit because she didn't want to do too much. But then like a hardcore match is just as dangerous because you've got all these extra elements floating about.
Yeah, and ironically, she works lengthy matches the entire show. The match on this one is 12 minutes and 18 seconds against Shotzi. She works 11 minutes, 51 seconds against Priscilla Kelly. She works 14 minutes against Myla Grace when Myla Grace beats her on show 3. She works 16 minutes, 5 seconds when she beats Myla Grace in the final show of the tour. Like, she put in a hefty little effort here on time-wise. Like, it's just weird. And like I said, it just feels weird because you do the whole beginning of this show. We didn't talk about it, but the beginning of this show is both the Skyscrapers coming out saying that they're going to leave with the championships. And it sets up Kross versus Bishop Dyer in our main event tonight being a no-holds-barred match. So it allows the ability to kind of do those things. And basically the match really ends up just becoming a falls count anywhere match where they don't try to pin each other anywhere other than in the ring, because which is fine, but it kind of takes apart the whole no holds barred part. Moving into the no holds barred match, Killer Kross is the new champion, winning the vacant title that was vacated by Matt Cardona when he went back to WWE and had to relinquish the title. Defeating Bishop Dyer in 13 and a half minutes. Jamie, what did you think about this match in its entirety?
I enjoyed this match. I thought it was like a brutal, violent brawl that then sort of gets to the point of Kross has to overcome overwhelming odds when the Skyscrapers kind of both come out and it ends up being 2-on-1. And yeah, it's annoying because they promoted this from the beginning of the show as no holds barred. So they couldn't really scrap the idea of what they had planned for it. Maybe I would have, if I was them, having been in the back, seeing what the women were doing in the match before, maybe got rid of some of the weapon spots and lent more into that no count out, let's go out into the crowd, brawl in the crowd, do some pins and stuff out there, and then come back and like just remove the element of the weapons. And I think it would have helped with the structure of the show. But ultimately Kross ended up going on and winning this title and becoming a a big part of this show and one of the best performers of the tour. Basically, I think he main evented every night.
He did. Yeah, he did. He main evented Dyer in night 1, Riddle in night 2, Moose in night 3, Nick Nemeth in night 4.
Yeah.
Astrid, what are your thoughts on the main event here? Watching one of your favorites, Bishop Dyer, in the ring here.
I'm glad I get to watch him somewhere else too. I love the fact that I got to watch him in AEW and then MLW the week after, one back to back here in Florida. So it was fun. I miss watching him wrestle too. So I'm glad I saw this. I like the fact of having them making no holds barred because they don't want Dijak involved here, but then Scarlett's at ringside the whole time, only for Dijak to be like, no, this is not happening. We're taking that title too, and coming in to help him out like more than halfway through the match. I do love the aspects of them going into the crowd as well. I feel like it gives you a different glimpse to what the other matches didn't get to have, compared to at least like Shotzi and Ash that we got earlier. So I'm glad the fact that we got to see a little bit different from the crowd, the way they played off of it. I did love that spear. I call it double spear, obviously, because he hit both of the. But I love that spear spot. Like, I didn't like how they stood there a little bit too long, and it became obvious that it was gonna happen. But I enjoyed the way it still happened. I enjoyed Scarlett just being involved the way she was too with Bishop, and having that moment of Killer Kross coming in. I feel like once he saw that his lady was in trouble, like powering up and taking that win at the end the way it happened, I feel like it was really well done. I enjoy the match, and again, it was like I like being able to see two people that I really enjoy wrestle each other. It's something that I wouldn't have seen otherwise in other companies too. So I'm glad this is happening here. I know they also have their stuff in, maybe they were kind of connected back to what happened in MLW before too, and that's why I got the glimpse of it beforehand as well. So that's why I really enjoyed it a lot too. My favorite people I got to watch here.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm going to go in a slightly different direction about this because you guys have talked most of the match. I want to go ahead and give Scarlett Bordeaux her flowers on this one. I think she incorporates her role in Kross's matches better than almost any female valet for a male talent in some time. She's a vital portion of who Kross is in his matches. She's not just an accessory to what he does. She feels like she's as important as Kross is to everything Kross does, is the ability to have Scarlett there. She doesn't need to get involved. She doesn't really involve herself. Other people involve her in what they're doing, and it helps bring her to the surface and allow her to do things. The slapping of Bishop Dyer here, having both Dijak and Dyer looking at her like they're both going to attack her, and then having Dijak kind of like pull her off to the side while, Bishop Dyer holds Kross to make him watch. Like, that's such good, really old school heel work. Like, that's old school 70s, 80s heel. Make the female valet get put into a dangerous proposition where the male talent has to watch, where he can go ahead and Hulk out, really get the advantage, and then putting them through a door. Now, granted, it wasn't as good a door as Donovan Dijak, but I'm going to use that photo as many times as I can, as often as I can, and there just so happened to be a door here with Dijak, so Donovan Dijak was indeed there. I thought this was great. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed the show from top to bottom. I just like Jamie says, if you had moved the two women's matches around and you put Ash and Shotzi in the 2 slot and you put Myla and Priscilla in the semi-main, I think that fixes your entire thing.
Yep. Because
you have all of the weapon stuff early in the show, you have no weapons the rest of the show, and then you have it in your no holds barred main event. I think if you were going to do the show the way this show done, and you're looking back on it, hindsight 2020, that's the only change on the entire show, other than, hey, having an Aussie win at some point would be nice too. Other than that, the show is great. I want to watch more WSW having watched this. This is a show that makes me want to watch more. It makes me want to see more of people like Tuckman. It makes me want to see more of people like Matt Hayter. It makes me want to know if Matt Hayter and Jamie Hayter are in some sort of like family tree somewhere down the line, because they ironically both spell the name the same way, but they're both from vastly different parts of the world. So it makes me wonder. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed WSW here.
What did you think of like the venue and the production levels for this show? Because I thought they did a really good job of making this look like a big deal show.
I thought the venue was a lot bigger until we saw the Tuckman entrance, where he kind of like roams around the entire venue. And I'm like, oh, this is just like a really big like gymnasium. It's not like, I thought it was an arena until I realized it's just a really big entertainment center, like gymnasium type thing. I'd put their production quality against pretty much any of the shows that we've covered. I think Chaotic is still at the top of that list, just because it's the promotion I watch week in and week out. It's the promotion I watch all the time. It's the promotion I go to. It's my favorite indie promotion. But I also feel like they've gotten the grips of how they do what they do. But as far as most of the other independent promotions, I think it's really at the top of the list, as it's well done. They have a commentary team that knows what they're doing. The style of tour show makes commentary difficult to do, because it's not telling a coherent story from beginning to end throughout one show from show to show. It's taking 4 to 5 shows and telling a coherent story from those shows with a small group of talent, which makes it difficult. But I thought that the arena here was really cool. The little entertainment center, the Adelaide Entertainment Center that they ran here. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It didn't feel low budget by any stretch of the imagination, both with the talent that they brought in and the way that the show came across.
Yeah, like the stage and the like pyro, I think at the opening, that's what lifted it for me. I was like, okay, this is their sort of their big show. And ultimately it felt like a good advertisement for the Mega Mania shows, where I think like they'll have learned from some of the errors in this, and then that tour is going to be a next level show for them.
Astrid?
Yeah, I feel like it was like just watching, because this is the first show of if you go on the YouTube channel on the live tab, this is the first show they have. And just watching this, I feel like it was a good introduction for me, for the company as a whole. And I like the production they had so far, really well done. And I just hope, like, not only that they incorporate more Aussie talent, male and female, in the cards, but I'd like to see more of like that balance of having that Aussie talent win their matches too. That's something I would like to see more in the future compared to what we got in this card here. But I feel like it was a good introduction, because now I'm curious. Now I want to see more from them, and hope that they, in the future, like you said, for the next tour, that they bring up not only some of these talents, but other people as well, and incorporate that Aussie talent there as well. I feel like that's what was missing for me. More like I wanted to get introduced to new Aussie talent, and I feel like I didn't get enough of that. Because obviously I have the ones that I'm familiar with, like the Charlie Evans and the Jessica Short, but I would like to see other people aside from them, and get introduced to somebody new and say, oh, I can follow this person now and watch their matches, and hopefully they get booked again in WSW, so I can keep watching WSW because of them. So that's the only thing that I was missing more from this card.
Any last thoughts, Jamie, on WSW in the show here?
Yeah, overall, a really good show. Like I said, I think the best one of the tour. And yeah, like Astrid said, hopefully for that next tour, they incorporate some more Aussie talent throughout the tour. It is hard, though, because that next tour lineup is pretty stacked already. So it'll be interesting to see how they manage to get more Aussies in there with such a vast roster already announced from internationals. I guess they've got Buddy and the Iconic, or Inspiration, so they technically do have more Aussies on it already, but it's hard to count them because they're not. It's not like they're here every month.
Yeah. Jamie, go ahead and talk to us a little bit more about Pario Magazine and the interesting places people can find you, and what you've got coming up the rest of this week, things you've got coming up that you want to make sure that people are looking out for with your content.
The big one for me at the moment is I just put out my interview with GHC heavyweight champion Shane Haste. That was a really fun one about sort of how he ended up back in Noah, how TMDK was established and evolved throughout the years, and there's a nice little bit in there about people that almost made the cut but then didn't, that would have gone on to be big things. We just put out our Masters of the Universe review. I've got a review of Aussie horror film Leviticus coming out Friday, and then tomorrow I will be back on Pario's YouTube channel with a Dynamite watch along as we sort of lead into Forbidden Door, which will be a big event for AEW and myself.
Are we going to get Peggy's Road to Forbidden Door that we talked about that you guys talked about on the stream?
The path to pay-per-view? We will see. Hopefully she'll be back next week. I know she's doing a lot of like World Cup stuff, so it's hard with schedule at the moment.
Astrid, tell the good people where they can find you coming up in the near future and what you've been reading, because I know you haven't been doing a whole lot of content for us.
I'm on the Scary 2 movie review that we have with Jamie, Bobby, and I. So that's recent on their channel as well. I know Bobby and I will be recording tomorrow, so we'll be talking about Send Help with Rachel McAdams and Obsession, because it's the new Obsession in the horror genre. So might as well talk about it now. So hopefully those will be coming out sometime soon. Other than that, if you can find me, if anything, on my book accounts, that's where I'm most active right now with what I'm reading, as Ed said. If not, you can find me on my Twitter is astridpizarro. My Instagram is astridpizarro20, and the book one is Book Lovers Book Reviews. I forget to add in there too.
You can find me at the generic places; those don't really matter. What we need you to do is go ahead and make sure that you're following our local establishment on Ole Podcasts on all your favorite social media platforms: Instagram, Threads, Twitter, all that kind of fun stuff. Or if you're on YouTube and Twitch, you can go ahead and follow us at our local establishment. We have all of our live shows and all of our pre-recorded shows on the YouTube side. All of our live shows are on both of those, so you can go ahead and check those out. We've got Marvel stuff coming up in the near future with our return to the DC universes. We'll be talking Supergirl in a few weeks, either next weekend. I might be next weekend that we do the show. I'll have to talk to Peggy and Andre and make sure that everybody's seeing it and see if everybody's got time. I have my tickets already for opening night in IMAX, so I'm very excited for that one. Tickets go on sale tomorrow for Spider-Man 4 Brand New Day, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure I get those tickets done. The summer of movies for Ed will be continuing. I'm going to potentially be trying to see if I can do a bunch of reviews for movie content. It's not something I do a ton of, but I went ahead and got an AMC A-list pass for the summer, so I can go ahead and see these movies for cheaper. So Toy Story 5, Masters of the Universe, The Mandalorian and Grogu. I'm also going to be going to see The Odyssey with my daughter, because that's one that she wanted to see, and I can't wait to see that one because it's got all of the people in it. So all kinds of stuff that potentially could be coming from me here. But like I said, you can find all of that if it happens on our local establishment right here at Ole Podcast. And again, if you want to follow WSW and find out what shows they got coming up, they'll be back again, like Jamie said, in the end of October, beginning of November. From the United States, it looks like they're bringing back Killer Kross, Scarlett Bordeaux, Shayna Baszler, Andrade El Idolo, Sammy Guevara, The Inspiration, Buddy Matthews, Brian Cage, Naito and Bushi are both going to be here, as well as Ash by Elegance making her return. So those are the names that Jamie was talking about with the big foreign names that are coming through. And not all American, as we see Naito and Bushi are both coming in for this show, so that'll be fun and interesting to watch. But you can follow them on Twitter at WSW Wrestling AUS, or you can follow their YouTube channel where all of these shows were broadcast. And I'm going to assume that the shows in the Mega Mania Tour will probably be the same broadcast on the YouTube channel. And you can find that at World Series Wrestling. They were fantastic. We greatly appreciated being able to watch their content for free there. So make sure you go ahead and give them a like and a follow on their content if you want to see more of that kind of stuff. Thank you all for joining us. We greatly appreciate our guest, Jamie from Pario Magazine, for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. Make sure you go ahead and give them a like and a subscribe on YouTube. And like he says, join him tomorrow as he's living in the future on a Thursday edition of Dynamite. Wednesday for the rest of us, but for him, it'll be on Thursday. So go ahead and watch that. Watch the Masters of the Universe content. Watch his content with Karina as they do all of the commentary booth stuff over there. It's fantastic stuff. I always enjoy watching it when I get the opportunity. But for myself, for Astrid, for our guest Jamie, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
I am in misery. Everyone is watching.